Well, our message this morning, and we're going to bring up the title to right now, is the prodigal and the point of return. You know, everyone likes a comeback. We often we have great starts, and then we have times where maybe we encounter some things in life, and then what do we do from there? And the story that we're going to talk about today is really when the Father meets you more than halfway. And as I was thinking about this, I was reflecting back in my own life, and I was thinking about my dad. My dad came to my mind, and I was very fortunate in the sense that I had a father who was there, a father who was present, and did a lot of things with me. I will tell you that I definitely could not complain. He was a great dad in so many ways. The earliest memories I have are just him always being there. I learned how to read. When I went into kindergarten, I already knew a lot of the words because he had worked with me. When it came time to learn how to tie my shoes, well, he was the one that helped me get prepared to go in and then pass that little test in the classroom that we had this shoe that we had to tie. I remember that. And just instruments and music and everything. Early on, he got instruments for me, and he would play with me, and he would spend a lot of time, and we'd go to the park, and he'd pitch the ball to me. There'd be nobody else out there. He'd have to chase it. And I didn't realize until as an adult how much effort that took, especially when you're working a full-time job, and then you're going and you're chasing the ball and over again. I think half the time he was pitching it, in his mind, if I was him, I'd be praying that I missed it, so that just we wouldn't have to go chase it. And all of these different things that he did in such an amazing way. And yet, strangely, one of the earliest memories that I have was I was probably no more than 3 years old, possibly even 2. And the reason I know that I was very young is because we were still living in this apartment that we were in, and we moved. I know that we were 4 years old when we moved to the house that we lived in when I was growing up. And I also know I must have been really little because the memory that I have, the vision that I have in my mind was I was being held by my mom. So I was actually in the air. I wasn't standing on my own 2 feet. And this is one of the earliest memories that I have. And my dad was getting ready to go to work. And when he was getting ready to go to work, my mom was holding me, and she was saying something. I think she kissed him so he could go to work. They didn't do that a whole lot, but just public affection wasn't really something that we did. And she kind of said to me, she goes, "Lean over and give your dad a kiss goodbye." And so I went to do that, and he said, "Oh, no. Guys don't kiss guys. We don't do that." And which I get it, but but it's not a big deal, and it's just going to be a kiss on the cheek. But the strange thing is, I remember that, and I always remembered that. And even though he didn't mean anything by it, and like I said, I went everywhere with my dad all the time. He spent tons of time with me, always knew that he loved me, all that kind of stuff. But as I was thinking about it, I was reflecting on it, and I was thinking, why do I remember that? And what did it teach me? How did it stick with me? And there was a message there that I received from it, even though he didn't mean it. And that was this: there's a limit to how close you can get. There's a limit to how close you can get. And I would venture to say that many of us have found that to be true in our life. That we'll talk, we'll have conversations, we look to communicate, we look to build relationships, but there's certain walls in our life, there's certain things that are there, and we even say to ourselves, even when it comes to other people, okay, we'll let you in so far, we'll tell you so much, but there's a limit to how close. And if that's true for you, I want to tell you this morning that I completely understand that. Because through all of our human experiences, there's reasons why we have set those limits. But there's one this morning who, if we can learn to understand his goodness and his love for us, as we've already sung, when it comes to him, the only limit on how close we can get is the limit that we're setting on ourselves. And so that's what I want to look at in this passage together. We're going to bring it up. We're just going to look right from the scripture this morning, and we're going to bring it up here in Luke chapter 15, beginning at verse 11 and following through. And Jesus here in Luke chapter 15 is telling now, this is now the third or fourth, if I remember right, parable that he's got in chapter 15, and this is the last one, and this is the most famous and recognizable one. And in Luke 15, basically the whole chapter, just to give you the context, he's basically explaining to people the value that God places not just on the masses, but on the individual. For example, he told a parable of a lost coin and how people went and searched for that particular coin, even though they had other coins. He had just told the parable of the lost sheep, where there was 100 sheep and they still had 99, but one of them was lost, so the shepherd went and searched for that one because that one was very important. And now we get to this story right here. And so it says, to illustrate the point further, Jesus told them this story. A man had 2 sons. And the younger son told his father, I want my share of your estate now before you die. So his father agreed to divide his wealth between his sons. Now let's stop here right now, just so that we understand. So here's this young man living in the house, growing up. His father is present. He's got his brother there too. So he's got his family there. Apparently they were fairly well off. They were not in destitute because there was an estate to actually break up and give. There were actually some resources. There were some things there. And he pretty much had the comforts of home with whatever responsibilities or normal life that he had. All of us kind of grow up this way in some way, to some degree. We have what we're used to, what we're comfortable with. Maybe we're comfortable, maybe we're uncomfortable, but it's still what we're used to. And this was the situation that he was in, and he looked at his life, he saw his father right there, and came to the conclusion that he felt that he was missing things in life. Many of us go through that. We take a look around and we think, I don't know about what I have, but I know about what I want. And I want more than this. And that's not necessarily wrong to want some more, but at the same time, often we're not grateful for the things that we do have. And this young man was here, and there was his father right there, and what he wanted, as we can see right here, is he wanted to do what he wanted, and he wanted the stuff that his father could give him, but he didn't necessarily want the father himself. Now, many of us do that, even when it comes to God. We want God's blessing in our life. We want to find God's favor in our life. When it comes time to needing things, wanting things, or going through a crisis or going through a hard time, we may even pray prayers when normally we don't. I know as a kid I didn't go to church. I didn't know God personally at all up until almost 17 years of age. Yet there were times in my life when I would pray to him, even though I didn't know him, because things got hard and things got difficult, and so I'd take any help I could get. So even though I didn't know him, what I wanted was his help, but I didn't necessarily know or want him. Now, I don't know where we are today, but often that's the way it is. Many even believers who are regulars in church, they'll throw up prayers to God in crisis when they need stuff, or their prayers will be, God, I need this, I need this, I need this, I need this. But I don't necessarily want to spend time with him. Yesterday in Sam's Club, I was there to get the hot dogs. By the way, we got some cheese dogs too. We got a combination. I don't mean to distract you right now. But, good things come to those that wait. I don't know if that's a biblical verse, but it sounds good, right? But I will say this. While I was in Sam's Club, I always walk through the little book area that they have right there in the middle. And I look for the devotional section. It seems to be shrinking over time, but it's still there. Half of it's in Spanish and half of it's but it's still there. And I noticed something, and I was just a little cynical. I'm not necessarily being negative, but I noticed it was for men, the 5-minute devotional. And I don't know, I just got a little sarcastic because I'm thinking to myself, really? So that's real big of us, right? We'll give God 5 minutes a day. We'll see if we can give him 5 minutes. Oh, that's really big of us, right? We'll give him 5 minutes because we're so busy. I was just like giving this little thing because we are busy, right? I mean, we think we're busy. I think I'm busy. People tell me this all the time. I go, oh man, I was so busy. They go, busy doing what? And then you're almost embarrassed to tell them. Because you start thinking about all the things you were so busy doing all day, and you realize that if there was really something big going on in your life, like you were sick or something else or somebody else was sick, you wouldn't be doing any of that because it's really not that important, right? And there's the 5-minute devotional. Wow, incredible. Now, granted, 5 minutes is better than no minutes, and it's a good habit. But often we just, can I do that so that God blesses my day? But do we want God? Do we actually want the Father? This young man just wanted the stuff, didn't want the Father, didn't care. And so the Father gave him what he wanted. God will do that too in our life, and we've experienced that. Many of us have. Where we're like, God, I don't really want you. I just want to go do my thing. I'm too busy for you right now. I got stuff to do, things to experience, places to go. And you're cramping my style, quite honestly, because you're always just like, thou shalt not this, thou shalt not that, even though there's good reasons for it, right? So you're cramping my style a little bit. I just want to go out. From the very beginning, the evil one has come along and said, God is cramping your style. In fact, the only reason that you can't eat of that tree, even though you could eat of every other tree in the garden, the only reason you can't eat of that one is because he knows you're going to know what he knows if you do. And so he's holding back from you. And ever since we've been believing that lie, and so did this young man. He was believing it too. And so the Father gave him what he wanted. And a few days later, now, by the way, I didn't notice this till this week, even though I've taught this many times. He divided his wealth between his sons. Both sons got it. Both of them did. It wasn't like he just gave it to the one and the other one was stuck there. But the other one stayed. But both got it. A few days later, the younger son packs all his belongings and moved. What does it say here? He wanted to stay fairly close, right? So he moved like just down the street. That's not what it says, huh? He moved to a distant land. A distant land. He didn't just move. See, like I understand it. We get older. We want a little independence from parents or family or whatever. So we want to move. We want to have. So a lot of times you'll see people, they kind of move. And then often they end up getting a little closer and closer and closer. Sometimes they move back in even for a little, whatever. But they're closer. Like I like being fairly close with where my kids are, which is really cool. But it's also cool not to be in the same house either. But be close, just a few minutes away. But I've had this, I've experienced so often. I've coached through the years, and often I'll be, where are you going to go to school? Some of the players, and this is what I get, what I was getting all the time. Far away from home. Far, are you going to go local? No, I want to go far. I want to go out of state. And it kind of strikes me. It's just like, they don't even care where, it's just far away. I've heard that a lot, often from sources that I wouldn't expect because they look fairly close, fairly close-knit family. It's like, I just want to go. I just want to get far. And that was this guy. Often we run from God. And we say, I don't know, but the best thing for me is I just want to get far away. I mean, even in the Bible, we see this many times. We saw people that maybe God was calling and tugging certain ways in their life, like Jonah, for instance, in the Old Testament. He's told to go and do something that God wanted him to do. So what does Jonah do? He gets on a boat and goes the absolute opposite direction, trying to get as far away as possible Didn't work out too well. He ended up being right back where God wanted him to be anyways, after going through a lot of stuff. And some of us go through a lot of stuff. Maybe you're here today and you've gone through a lot of stuff and you're like, Pastor, you don't even know. And quite honestly, part of me probably doesn't even want to know, and you don't even want to tell me. And I get it. And some of it you'll never tell anyone. But I will say this, the Father, He knows. He knows exactly where you've been. And there's never been a moment He hasn't seen you and He hasn't been present for it. He's never forgotten you for a single second of your life. So He goes far away to a distant land and He wasted everything. All of it. All His money. He didn't just waste it. He didn't just make a few bad investments. He just did wild living. He just floundered it away. Got caught up in the moment. Wasn't his intention. It never is, right? It really isn't our intention. I was talking about this just the other day with someone when we were talking about downtown LA. Like if you go to downtown LA, like in the districts where you go, like the toy district and the different things. And there's so much homelessness and everything down in downtown LA. And the sad thing about homelessness is often, I mean, there are cases where obviously it's just, a person fell on their luck and bad on their luck and different things happen and that happens. But then there's a whole other level where it's just drug abuse and all types of different things that happen and where people literally just are not in their right minds anymore. And so it becomes dangerous not because you're worried, but because people aren't even thinking right anymore. And you think to yourself, how does a person get there? I mean, there are babies in a nursery in a hospital somewhere, and then we're in school together and all this, and you look back at the pictures and you see the person now and you're like, wow, how did they get from there to there? It was never planned. It was never intended. But just a series of decisions and a series of things that happen where suddenly it seems like you're at the point of no return. And this young man went down a very slippery slope. He thought he was going to just build his life in a magnificent way. And then what ended up happening is it says here in verse 14, about the time that his money ran out, there was a great famine that swept over the land, and now he began to starve. He began to starve. And so he had to start taking actions. Maybe we've done that in life where we have to start taking actions. Right? We realize, wait a minute, something's got to change. We've got to make something right here. We've got to make something happen here. But often our first response isn't to go back to the Father. It's just, I got to step it up. I got to do something. I got to get disciplined. I got to make a decision. I got to do all these things. So we've tried that. And we've made decisions, and we've changed some habits, and we've tried to get things going, and yet it seems that still we've just been slamming our head against the wall. 2 steps forward, 3 steps backwards. Like trying to push a boulder up a mountain, and every time we get 2/3 up, the thing just comes crashing down on us. Over and over again. And so he went and he persuaded a local farmer that was there to hire him. So he went from a privileged guy living the life to now being hired by a farmer, and the man sent him out into his fields to feed the pigs. Sound glamorous? Probably not. Now, in this culture, this was a Jewish man, by the way. In this culture, the pigs were unclean. You know why this job was available? This was the job nobody wanted. This was the job that the farmer finally just had mercy on him and gave it to him because it's like, fine, I'll have you do this. Nobody wanted this job. That's how bad this job was. And the young man became so hungry. So it didn't include food. It didn't include any of that. He became so hungry that even the pods he was feeding the pigs looked good. So let's explain what that is. So what the pigs were eating was that which was left from what everybody else ate. It was literally just the pickings of the things that didn't get completed. So let's change this to modern day. You say, well, what would this equivocate to? Let's say you're here, you're hungry, you can't find anything, you're not getting anything, so you're hanging out in an alley behind a restaurant, and when the restaurant clears the tables and clears everything and puts everything in the trash and throws it out in the dumpster, you now are in the dumpster picking out what's in there, trying to pick out any scraps that possibly of any little morsels of food that you can find that was on somebody else's plate. That's basically the equivalent of what this guy was facing at this point, and he was in such need that looked good to him. You see, it's amazing what we get used to in our life. And it's sad what we get used to in our life. We come to the point sometimes when things have gone wrong, when decisions have gone wrong, when choices have gone wrong, where we expect nothing. In fact, our expectations of what we believe our life is supposed to be like has gone so low that we're just surviving through the next day. Our Father God has never created us to be like that. And that's not the way that it needs to be. He doesn't promise necessarily that you're going to live in a mansion and all those type of things. He does in heaven, not here. He doesn't necessarily promise that, health, wealth, and prosperity. He does. We have an inheritance if we know him and we're going with faith, but not here. But he does promise to supply our needs, and he does promise to give us peace in our life, and he does promise to help us to step into the people that he has created us to be. And so there has to come to a point, because this one, it looked good to him, but no one gave him anything. And I don't know if we come to this realization, but there's some things in this world that nobody can help us with except for our Creator who has made us. There's an emptiness in each one of us. There's a void in each one of our hearts that can only be filled. No person can fill it, no matter how hard they try. It can only be filled by the one who not only knows your name, but knew it before he even created you to begin with, and put every gift and talent and every ability that is contained within you into you and planned it before he even ever made you. And that's the Father that we're talking about. So there came to a point, and it needs to be for each one of us. It says, when he finally came to his senses, in other words, he had a moment where it finally became clear. He said to himself, at home, notice how he referenced it, at home, even the hired servants have food enough to spare. And here I am, dying of hunger. I will go home to my father and say, Father, I have sinned against both heaven and you. I'm no longer worthy of being called your son. Please take me on as a hired servant. Now, this is really key. I don't want to miss this. I don't want to skip over this. Because it's very important that we understand really the point that he's come to in his life right here. It was a moment, some people say these big moments are like an aha moment in life. No, this was a, oh man, I'm in trouble moment. This is what this was. This was, it's gotten really bad moment. Some people say you hit rock bottom. Some people say, you've hit the bottom of the barrel. No, this was underneath the barrel and the gravel underneath. That's how low he had gone. He had gone below rock bottom. And in his mind, it was over. The life that was supposed to be for him was over. It was done. He was just going to try to salvage something at this particular point. He said, the hired servants, they're in better shape than me. Maybe I can be one of those. I'll settle for that. Maybe we get to the point in life where it's like, I'll just settle for anything. I'll just settle for anything better than this. I'll just settle for any upgrade. I don't expect anything anymore. I've already disqualified myself. It's already over. I've made too many mistakes. I'm too far gone. I'll just settle for something better to survive. So that's what he did. He said, I'm going to go. I'm going to be honest. He understood that he had sinned. He understood that he had failed. You know, that's the point that all of us need to come to in life. All of us, the Bible says, have sinned and come short of the glory of God. Every single one of us. So if that's you today, you're in good company. Look around. All of us. Say, well, I can't live up. Some of these people in here really got their act together. Oh, that's what you think. Oh, they struggle just like you. The person in front of you, behind you, to the side, they're not telling you. Or maybe they are, but they struggle just like you. Some of the fears, the things you won't share in your heart, they've got them too. Some of the things that you say nobody will ever know, they've got them too. We all do. We all have those skeletons in the closet. We all have that stuff. We all have that baggage. I have not met a person yet that doesn't have baggage. All got it. And we think sometimes that baggage defines us. And this young man thought that this baggage defined it, so now he's going to make it work. So I'm going to be honest as we get honest with God. Yes, God, we have sinned against both heaven and you. That's a realization we all have to come to. And the Bible does tell us that the wages of sin is death. It's separation from the Father. This young man was separated and he knew it. And he didn't know how to get back. We may be estranged from God or feeling distant from God this morning and we don't know how to get back. It comes to that realization and that time when we are honest with Him. And that's what this young man planned to do. So, and this is what, notice what he said, I'm no longer worthy. I've heard this so many times when talking to people. Are you going to go to heaven or are you going to be separated from God in hell and not in heaven when you die? I'd like to go to heaven, exact quote I've gotten from people, but I know that I'm not worthy to go there. That's all right. God will look at things differently. He said, I'm going to go and say, please take me on as a hired servant. So he returned home to his father. And while he was still a long way off, the father saw him coming. Oh, that must have been a moment. Can you imagine that moment? The father looking out. This is the way we normally would think about it, right? The father looking out going, ooh, well, look who's coming. Now, let's get a proper picture. Let's remember how the son left. Okay, when the son left, he was looking pretty good. Had his bags all packed, full of promise, full of excitement, looking real good, healthy, strong, going out there. I'm going to conquer the world. Now this guy's been feeding the pigs, starving to death. He don't even look like the same guy. Have we had moments when we look in the mirror one day and go, who in the world are you and what happened? And that's what it was. He didn't see, this was not the triumphant return. This was a guy who could barely walk coming down the road. In tattered clothes. A mess. It must have taken a lot for him to even come. And you can only imagine the reception that he thought he was going to get. The biggest mistake that any of us could make today is to worry about the Father's reaction because of maybe where we've gone or where we've been. Fortunately, it got to the point for this young man where he just had to come anyways. He just had to come anyways. And so he returns. While he was there a long way, his father saw him coming, filled with love and compassion. He ran to his son. Now let's understand something culturally especially. This was the last reaction the son would have expected. The very last reaction the son would have expected. Dignified older men, gentlemen in this culture did not run. They didn't. I mean, in our culture now, it's a big thing, right? 50, 60 years old. Just yesterday, I had this activity that I had to get to early in the morning. I had to actually get up early on a Saturday. It's the only day I normally sleep just a little bit later. And as I rushed out, because it's kind of a distance from where our door is to where the car is, and then I realized I forgot something very important, and I needed to go back, but I was already running late. And so I kid you not, believe it or not, I was very impressed with myself. I was very thankful. I full out sprinted right down this long hallway, all the way there to the door, got it, sprinted all the way back, got in the car, and wasn't even breathing hard. I was pretty impressed with myself. I don't know, maybe it was just adrenaline. And I thought, hey, not bad. I don't do that very often. I don't run, okay? I realize some people go out and they're like jogging for miles. Never found that exciting. Never found that to be something I wanted to do. Tried it a few times, didn't work well. But this man here, totally unexpected, probably expected to be judgmental because of the love that he had for his son, despite everything that had happened. And compassion, he ran to him, embraced him. Now remember my story in the beginning, and kissed him. His son said to him, Father, let's go ahead and switch the screen here. I have sinned against both heaven and you, and I am no longer worthy of being called your son. But what did the father do? Notice what the father did not do first. The father did not say, really, let's talk about it. I want to know exactly what you did. It almost appears that his father already knew. I mean, it was a little obvious the way he came back. That's why he ran to him. And his father said to his servants, you know, the servants that the son was hoping to just be like, quick, bring the finest robe in the house. Put it on him. Get a ring for his finger, sandals for his feet. Kill the calf we have been fattening. We must celebrate with a feast. This was not what the son expected. Far from it. You know what? This almost seems unfair, doesn't it? I mean, we read this story and we're like, seriously? We read the story and we're shocked. We're like, did we just miss this last part of the story? Was this rewritten? Does the father not understand? If we're thinking about this morning and we're thinking about going to God at different things in our life, and maybe we're carrying some things pretty heavy in our life, We're thinking, okay, what kind of crazy story is this? This has not happened. Seriously? What's the explanation? The father, right here in verse 24, for this son of mine was dead and is now returned to life. He was lost, but now he is found. So the party began. You know what the Bible tells us? The Bible tells us that every time a lost soul comes home, the angels in heaven throw a party. I don't know what kind of party you guys have gone to, but we're talking the party of all parties here. Probably not the one some of you have gone to, but in a really good way. We're talking the ultimate party. Genuine joy. I mean, just totally excitement. I mean, it's Jersey Day today. People get excited about their teams when they win, right? And then they throw parades, and usually that just becomes an excuse to be dumb, but whatever it is for some people, right? And it's just like, and even when we do that, it's almost funny because it's like, we won, we're the champions, yet we didn't play, right? We're not actually on the team, but it's okay. We want to be associated with winner. What if the party actually was for you? What if it actually was for you? We wouldn't even know how to handle it, right? Like when it's your birthday, the most awkward moment in life is when everyone's singing happy birthday to you. That's the most awkward moment for me. That's why people love to do it like 5-8 times for some reason, right? Because it's like, what do? You're used to singing it for someone else. It's like, what do? Do you sing along? No, that's weird. You're singing for yourself. I mean, you just have to stand there and take it, right? It's just so weird. It's like the party can't possibly be for me. I'll go for somebody else. I'm used to that, but not for me. We can't handle that. The party is for you. What if God and the angels actually want to throw a party this morning for you? You're thinking, how could that possibly be? I don't deserve that. But that's called God's grace. And every time, even if we already know him and all that, but we're struggling, or maybe we struggle at times and everything, and we're feeling a little distant, and we're just trying to get in that 5-minute devotional and pat ourselves on the back and say, yes, we did. And we want God's stuff, but we don't want him enough. He's so waiting for us. He's so waiting. The party began. There's the last part of the story, which I don't have up here. The other son is there, comes back from the field, hears the party going on. And he's like, what's going on? And they go, oh, your brother's home. My brother's home? You mean the one that wasted everything, the one that did everything, the one that did he come back rich? Did he come back? No, he came back with nothing, lost everything. What's the party? And he was mad. He's outside pouting. We do this sometimes as church people. Some church people have been in church all their life. Doing the right thing, staying right there, doing it, standing up, being in the pew when they're supposed to. Standing up, sitting down, bowing their heads when they're supposed to, doing a little Bible study thing, singing a song, trying to follow all the rules and all that. And then someone else comes along who went and wasted all kinds of time, did all kinds of dumb stuff, and now they're on fire for God, even when they knew better. And you're like, really? This is what we're going to be excited about? I've been doing this all my life. Where's my recognition, right? And we're not even happy. He should have been in there. He didn't understand the Father's heart. Often we don't either. We don't either. We're like, how come they're not getting what's coming to them? He'd been with the Father the whole time and still didn't understand his heart. Do we understand the heart of our Father for people? Because he's got a great one. I want to kind of close with this. Going back to my dad, if you asked me about my dad, I could tell you so many things about him. What he did for a living, some of the dreams, the aspirations he did, a lot of the lessons that he taught me. In very powerful ways, totally complimentary. Like I said, so thankful. But there's something that I realized the other day. There was a part of my dad that I never really knew him. I just didn't. If you asked me what he struggled with, I couldn't tell you. He never really shared it. When he was stressed, when he was sad, when he worked through things in his heart, the things that bothered him, the things that were really close to him that, really meant so much, never shared it. He was always there. He was always gentle. He was always loving. He was always that. But if you asked me who he really, really was, inside there's a part of him I never knew. And sadly, I think we also put that on God sometimes, and there's a part of God that we never know. But in this case, it's something we do to ourselves because just like I said earlier, we have come to believe in our life that there's a limit to how close you can get to anyone, including God. But there isn't. The Word tells us all about Him. His character, how He thinks, how He feels about you, how He feels about life, how He feels about the things that we encounter. It's all there. And He's actually available to us 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. He's not distant, even though He may appear that way. And often it's just that we don't really want to be there and know Him as much as He's giving us the opportunity to do that. Today, consider it your invitation. Wherever you are in life, maybe you're still searching for Him and you still feel like you're on the outside, like the son, not even worthy to be called His son anymore. Oh no, He's ready to throw the party for you. That realization, Father, I've sinned against heaven and your sight. Please have mercy on me. He's ready. Jesus Christ, His Son, was given to die on the cross to pay the penalty for any sins any of us have ever committed. And by faith in Him, we can not only have our sins forgiven, but we can know the Father and have everlasting life. That's the invitation. So if you need that today, the only thing stopping that isn't you. Isn't the fact that He's not allowing you. The only thing stopping that is your willingness to put your faith in Him. And if we're here and we already have that faith, but we feel distant or we don't feel as close to the Father as we need to, realize He wants to be known. He wants to have that relationship with you. So I'd step it up. If it's no minutes a day, I'd go to that 5. I'd start with that. But then I'd go to the 10. I'd go to hours. I'd spend however much time you want. Because really all the other stuff that we're doing is getting us not where we really want to be. Just know that the invitation is there.